It is absolutely bizarre and quite disturbing to see grown adults behaving like children. Like their mentality is that of a 5-year-old. Because I gotta say, in my youth, I've went to a lot of places on the internet, many racist forums, and yet not a single person, not a single respectable racist individual that I know has ever looked at the orcs and said, oh yeah, this is like black people. Not a single person. But then you have the Democrats. You got the anti-racist individuals coming up and saying, oh yeah, we do think that orcs in Dungeons and Dragons were caricatures of African Americans, so we gotta change that. And I'm looking at the same way that you look at the mentally insane person. Like you're literally doing a self-report. Like you're looking at a Rorschach test, and you're telling me how the butterfly that I see there, you're actually seeing it like it's blood, guts, and gore. And then you also assume that I see the same. Like, no, I don't. I genuinely don't. And now you have a psychologist that had to waste his time with this nonsense in order to say that, well, no, actually, that's not the case. People who look at the orcs, we did an experiment and results found that the use of racist caricatures in the visual depiction of orcs were rare and incidental, never occurring in the type of combination that would suggest that stereotype depictions were intended. There was no particular consistent pattern to skin color of orcs, with gray skin being the most common, and orc armor and weapons were more influenced by European historical design than Asian or African types. Taken together, these results suggest that visual depictions of orcs in Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings systems are not influenced by racial stereotypes. I didn't even need a psychologist to tell me this. I didn't need an expert to tell me what I already know. Like, yeah, orcs were not racist depictions. At no point throughout the decades that I've enjoyed geekdom and its hobbies, I have never thought of orcs as being related to African Americans. Now, they have been related to football hooligans in Warhammer 40k, right? Like British football hooligans. But even then, it was done in fun. It was done in jest. It wasn't mean-spirited, if you will. And I'm pretty sure that even people in England that were hooligans, if they saw Warhammer 40k and they saw the depiction of the orcs, they would laugh at it. They wouldn't feel insulted by it. The whole purpose of the orcs is to create in a fictional environment that's meant for teenagers to have like an easy to understand villain. It's like you're the dungeon master, you don't really need to think of much of a plot or a lore or a reason. It's like, no, this is a race of creatures that are attacking the settlement so that the paladin can just go into combat. So that you don't actually need to engage in any form of diplomacy or any form of thing. It's like, no, these are the villains, go beat them up. It's to simplify the game. It's to make so that you throw the dice and you run your attack rolls, and that's pretty much it. And the orcs are also badass, like they're barbarian looking, they're muscular, they're capable of inflicting damage. They are able to work together, because unlike other creatures in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, which are more solitary, no, the orcs work together, they have their own culture, they have their own thing, but they're also willing to be barbaric. And the whole thing with the orcs, if you really want to compare it to like some civilization in the real world, I would say that if you look at the history of England, they would be more compared to the Vikings, right? So like you got these other people that are coming with a different culture, with a different language. They're bringing war to your island. You don't really know what they're doing, but you're afraid because they're looting and pillaging. That is probably the foundation of this mythos. It's got nothing to do with African Americans, and it's got nothing to do with Norwegian or Finnish or Danish people today. But again, like, these individuals are so mentally deranged that they are looking at a hobby that young people like, and they're assuming malice in the hobby. They're assuming that the creators of the game were malicious, and it goes to the point where you actually had a person that was in charge of the Grand Wizards of the Coast saying that, oh yeah, like D&D would have never been made today. Because it was a bunch of white guys that made it, and it was also a very racist game. So I'm thinking like, okay, you're making millions of dollars off of this intellectual property, which is renowned around the world, which made many movies and inspired many TV shows like Stranger Things, which makes many people happy, and you're literally saying that, oh yeah, no, it was made with malice. But luckily we're changing it. And none of the changes that you make seem to be for the better. Like, none of the changes that they make seem to make the game more popular. It is very disturbing, isn't it? And the whole reason for this is that, again, they had to hire grifters. Like, they had to hire consultants which do not understand anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but they want to make money, right? Like, they want to make tens of thousands of dollars in order to have something to add, to contribute. So they're looking at the game and they're saying, oh yeah, clearly the orcs are racist. You need to change this. So now they're changing it. No one actually gives a shit. Like, I noticed how people who play Dungeons and Dragons do not even listen to the new changes, which is like, oh yeah, well actually the Dark Elves aren't evil anymore. The Orcs aren't evil anymore. No one cares about these official changes. But the official changes, again, exist just so that some talentless hacks of grifters get to be paid. And instead of the game being focused around creating new spells, balancing the games, adding new and interesting things, they're constantly focused on removing shit, looking at stuff that they consider offensive to remove it. And that is the thing, is they consider offensive. Because offense isn't even subjective. Offensive isn't even objective. Like, what offends them doesn't offend me, and vice versa. So they're basically dictating, oh yeah, we decided from now on that orcs are offensive, and if you're not a good person, then obviously you're not going to get offended, and this is our Rorschach test, right? Like, when you look at the orcs, do you see what we see? Do you see black people? Because if you don't, then you're a racist. It's the upside down, isn't it? It's so bizarre. And it is sad, to be honest. It is absolutely sad, because the game isn't allowed to grow. People that are talented and creative, they rarely associate with this level of mental derangement, so they will not get jobs at this company. And it's sad, because Dungeons & Dragons, in my opinion, is one of the best tabletop games out there. It's one of the first role-playing games that I got into. It inspired so many cool games like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights. So it's got a lot of potential, and I personally wish that the people that are having the IP now would actually dedicate their time and resources at creating a better game rather than this nonsense. But it is what it is, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be for the better. I remember when the Christians were complaining that D&D is about spells and summoning demons, and they were told to fuck off. Unfortunately, we live in different times now. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.